So the first theme behind the takeaways is really how creating safety is really the foundation for every success, right? Let's start with the why first, so people understand it. Now that you've built safety, you've been in a position where you didn't have safety, now you have it. Why, in your own words, is safety crucial for you?
If you don't have safety in a relationship, you don't intrinsically trust your partner to like be able to like not only like hear and share what you're thinking, but also to like listen to the other ideas. Like you can't build anything on top of that. Like if you can't build the basic levels of safety, how are you going to like be in a place you can actually admire somebody? If you don't feel safe with someone, how are you going to admire somebody? Right? How are you going to feel sexually attracted to somebody? Right? And if you can't do those things, how are you going to be able to even get into the place where you can generate momentum to work on your relationship? Like nothing can happen without that foundation of safety. But when you feel that with each other, and you know that you can share, like no matter what, and you will feel understood, like everything goes in another direction. Like the snowball starts to build, it's the snowball going down the hill. It starts to get larger. It actually can build the momentum.
Yeah.
And really power your relationship into a different place, So it was pretty amazing to realize that and then see that start to actualize.
To double down on what you're saying, I think safety, not only, if you don't have safety, you cannot stop disasters, but you cannot build, you cannot stop a negative, you cannot also build a positive. So for example, passion, sexual passion, right? If we don't have safety, she will not feel safe enough to tell me the things I do, the things that are happening that turns her off. Right?
Yeah.
And if there's not that safety, we can never talk about it. So I will keep doing the things that turn her off, and I would do it blindly, and I would just keep turning her off, and I would just get more confused why she's turned off. But not only does it prevent her from sharing a negative, but it prevents her from sharing what could be a positive. Meaning because like if she doesn't have safety, she can't tell me, hey, here's what you can do to get me kinky. Because again, that's a very sensitive topic. It's a very sensitive conversation. So not only, so if you don't have safety, not only are you like amplifying the negative, you are robbing yourself, starving yourself of positives. And this is double-edged sword that just kills everything down.
Right. Like if I don't have the safety to like tell you that like, hey, when you do stuff with our dinnerware like this and don't take care of it, it hurts me in this way because we share it together. If you don't have safety to talk about that, how are you going to have safety to talk about some really sensitive stuff? Like you mentioned, like sexuality and things like that. Like you just can't get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this applies for like passion, for alignment, for admiration, for safety itself. Yeah. Right? You need safety to create safety itself because like there's different levels of safety there, right? It's like you can't build anything without safety. So which is why I always say no situation is ever unique, because take whatever problems you have. I don't care what problems you have in your relationship, why your partner's leaving, why you guys are not working out, you guys are not compatible, whatever it is. If you were able to lead the culture of the relationship to where you can create safety 10x of what you can find anywhere else, do you think your problems will still be problems? Probably not. Because like, okay, sure, you're incompatible, right? You don't feel like you are meant to be together. If you had the safety for both of you to actually explore on your own on why you don't feel that way, on expressing to each other like what the other person is doing to make them feel that way, make them understand that, listen to it, have an adult conversation about it. Yeah, sure, you might feel like incompatible, but you're not going to leave that relationship because you cannot talk about it. There's someone you can resolve it with. It's like, the catch-22 thing, right? If I have a business, for example, and we have a problem, I don't just go, oh, we have a problem? Well, fuck this business. No, it's like you try to fix it, right? But if I reach a point in my business where I cannot fix it, no matter what I do to try, then that's when I leave. So your partner, the moment she leaves, she's leaving not because of the problems. She's leaving because there's a problem, but there is zero safety to express it, to listen to each other, let alone fucking resolve it. So if you can't even resolve it, well, fuck it, just get out of here. Kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's really interesting because, like, talking about the fundamental attribution error earlier, the FAE bias, mentioned that before. And, you know, like, I was in this place, Geoffrey, where like I would listen into how she would say things and not the deep meaning behind why she was saying it, you know? And because of that, like I was always focusing on that, it would generate like resentment towards me, rightfully so, because like I wasn't hearing her. Like I want to express what I'm feeling in a truly genuine way so you can feel what I'm really feeling. And then you can know about it. But I couldn't see that because I was focused on like the character blame, you know?
Yeah.
But when I stopped that and I started listening to her, like now, like it's like, oh, I can express myself in a truly real way to you and you'll listen.
Yeah.
And now that I'm listening,
exactly.
I am empowered to do something about it.
Exactly. And that's the thing that that goes into like the how of how you create safety, right?
Yeah.
So again, we talk about this paradox with people where, you know, you can't create safety by telling your partner, hey, you can feel safe telling me this stuff, right? That's a striving approach. That's you using the logical approach. Just like you trying to go to sleep by going like, by telling yourself, hey, it's okay for you to go to sleep. Like, I know that already. Like, if I knew that, like, if I could, I would have fallen asleep already. That's obviously not, you know.
Yeah.
So the way you create safety is really by thriving in the moments you cannot fake, right? So first of all, it's built not in the obvious things you do and say, but in your micros, right? And you cannot fake that. So you could say the perfect words, do the perfect things, but if you're doing and saying it from you can sense like a tinge of micros that doesn't feel right, you will actually destroy more safety.
Yep.
There. So this is the first thing. You've got to get your micros right. Right. And it happens in moments that are unexpected. Right. So if your partner can look at what you do, the last 100 things that you do, and then the 99 things you do, she can think in her head, like, I could see how he could have like learned that from some YouTube channel, whatever it is. But there was this one moment though where things got really hard. Like, I don't know how he could ever fake that. Like, that's him. That's gotta be him. That's gotta be the real self. That's what is going to change that safety, right? Is that one moment out of the 100 you get. So like for Nick, for example, right? His moment was when his partner came to him and asked him about like some advice. In that moment, she's looking like, okay, let's look at the way he's responding here, the way his micros, everything like that. Is he faking any of this stuff? If he's not, it's like maybe this guy is different. I don't know. Then she tests the waters again and test the waters again and test the waters again, right? That's how you create safety. Go on.
Yeah. So that was definitely true in that moment, but I think there was a moment before that where that was even more prevalent. I don't want to go into the details, protect my partner's privacy, but there was a point in our relationship where it really did seem like in the middle of your program, like we were going to separate. And I mean, anytime that idea had brought up in the past, I was like this rolling tumbleweed of anxiety, like I would go hide myself in the room, and like lock it and get mad and pouty and like all those things, and I wouldn't sleep and I would be really grumpy the next day, and then probably not very fun to be around and all those things. But then that happened and everybody like knew something was different. I knew, so for first of all, she knew something was different. My counselor knew something was different. And I knew something was different. I could, it's me too. Like that was, I'm humble about it. Like the biggest thing wasn't shocking my partner. It was, I shocked myself,
Yeah.
you know, like, huh, I really have grown, you know,
Mm.
and because like I was okay with it and I was fine. And I had found that piece of myself and I had empowered her to like, hey, you know, like this isn't the right relationship for you, you know, and it's not clicking. And you don't feel that sense of like clicking with me. Like you deserve that in your life. I want to encourage you to find out someone else, you know? And that's when like everybody knew something was different.
Yeah. You can't
I,
fake that. You can't fake
I
that.
could not have faked it.
Yeah.
I couldn't have faked it. There was no way I could have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other, I think, a hard part about creating safety is also like, again, navigating the paradoxes of creating safety, right?
Yeah.
It's like what you think creates safety is actually destroying it, and it's destroying it in ways that you don't understand. And the reason why you destroyed safety in the first place is like none of our clients are evil people. Like I think they all want to do the best thing. But there's a reason why, even though you understand safety, but yet you still keep doing things to destroy it, maybe it's not that clear cut. Maybe because it's a falling outcome, not a striving outcome. And you got to treat it like that. You cannot fall for these like paradoxes. But the biggest thing I think that is so hard to create safety is that it's nothing that can be done just tactically, like you said. It has to be backed up by deep, deep, deep internal shifts.
Yep.
So, for example, you know, we say the quote, right? No one has relationship problems, but people have problems with the self that reflects in the relationship. In your case, it was your anxiety, your lack of self-esteem that really destroyed that relationship. And you're a classic example of how like you understood what safety was. Like you understood what safety was a long time before you joined the program.
Yep.
But even though you conceptually understood it, you didn't create it because you didn't have the right internal shifts to actually affect your micros, your micro expressions, allow you to do things, the correct things during the moments you cannot fake, etc. What were some examples of like where you knew how to create safety, but you just cannot find yourself like delivering it time and time again?
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, like my partner is like, you know, very kind of like she wears her emotions on her shoulder and is not afraid to tell anybody about what she thinks in like that truest sense. And like sometimes I just didn't know how to handle that. Like I knew going into something like, hey, like I gotta stop focusing on what she's saying and understand what she's really saying behind that. And like I'd say that in my head, right? And I could think that I could almost like visualize myself doing it at the time, right? Like, oh, that's easy. I just gotta stop doing that because like that totally makes so much sense. And then something would happen, right? And she would share that thing with me in a real way, right? And subconsciously, I couldn't take it.
Mm.
And I would like start to feel that like crumble or that cringe inside, right? And it would negate all the creativity. I'd feel stuck. I'd almost feel like lost for words. And, you know, like even if, and sometimes I didn't say anything at all, or like I would just like flinch, you know?
Yeah.
And it suggests you like that, like, you know, like you think I'm like it almost communicates like that, communicate like you're a bad person or whatever. Like there's so many things that can be like communicated in so many subtle ways because you don't handle something well. And planting that seed consciously in my mind was not enough to get me to that place. Like I understood how to create safety, like you said. Like I know that like I need to listen to my partner and like ask really good questions, like high quality questions, pave the way. But like there's something blocking me inside that's just preventing that from happening, no matter how hard I like cerebralized it. Like I just couldn't get there. Yeah.
You know, a great
Yeah.
example of this is like
Yeah.
so you know, the last couple of years, I would say, we've been working on that sexual passion side of the relationship.
Okay.
And in the beginning, I saw this paradox, and it was like this, right? So I wanted my partner to be very feminine. Like I wanted to act feminine. I wanted to like, I love the feminine parts of her, and I wanted to nurture that. And so I would say a lot of things. I would do a lot of things to nurture it. I would give her a lot of compliments. I would, do a lot of things. But then there's one day where she was we were getting ready for like a dinner with a bunch of people, and she was like putting on her makeup. And while she was putting on her makeup, she was like talking to me about things and just going on rambling on for hours. And we were running late, and she wasn't even looking at the time. And I got pissed. Not pissed, but like I got like annoyed. But like, Sam, we gotta go. Right? Stop putting on your makeup. Like, it's fine. We gotta go. I didn't realize that right there, right? Those were the exact things I was doing of why it was so hard for her to feel feminine. Because whenever she is feminine, I punish her for it. Right? So it's kind of like safety too. For you, for example, here, you want to create safety, you say, right? So part of creating safety is for your partner to be able to express her emotions the way she wants to express it. So here she is expressing her emotions the way she wants to express it, and you don't like that. Mm-hmm. No wonder she doesn't feel safe. It doesn't matter the hundreds of things you do to create that safety. That's the moment that will destroy all the house of the cards you've built. And that's another example of how like the safety is in the subtle like that. Like you have to be very careful about the paradoxes like that,
Yeah. Before I would tell my partner, like, hey, like, you can share stuff with me. I want you to share stuff with me. This is before the program. Like I want to know what you're thinking, like I want to know what's on your mind. Like, tell me more, and like, but then she would tell me something and I would subconsciously penalize her for it.
Yeah. And you can't help yourself again because
exactly. I couldn't stop it from happening.
Yeah. For the FA bias, mindsets again. So, for people to understand this, right? Again, so again, we go back to that cycle that we talked about in the very beginning where we said like, you are showing up in a relationship from a needy place, from a place of low value. Mm-hmm. That turns your partner off. When you see your partner pulling away, you play the same tactics that you used because you're anxious. Partner pulls away even more. That makes you even more anxious. You double down on the same approach.
Yep.
And in this case, the approach you were taking is, the approach from the internal state of like playing victim. It's all about me. What are you doing to me? Not about her, for example. Right? You were playing from a place of tetheredness where what she says and does affects you so much. You're playing from a place of not being bulletproof, where you look at tough truths as a bad thing, not a good thing, as a threat, not as an opportunity. And so you've been living like that. You living like that cause her to pull away. When she pulls away, you double down on your victim mindsets, your tetheredness, your lack of bulletproof style, push it away even further, and it just keeps going.
Yeah.
And a classic example of this, right, is when I get a comment that says, if your partner wants space, fuck them. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Because to me, that person just showed all their cards.
They showed what they're really made of, what they really think. Yeah.
It shows just how little belief you have in your own value.
Yeah.
It shows just how insecure you are. It shows just how tethered you are, how victim you are, how not bulletproof you are. Mm-hmm. It shows just the lack you operate from. It's the lack that your reason why your partner left in the first place.
Yeah.
And now that your partner is finally leaving, you are doubling down on the same attitude that caused her to leave to judge her for why she's leaving. Like, it's just, dude, how many more times do you want to go through that cycle? It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Geoffrey, kind of like, I almost feel like a tear coming down my eye a little bit, just because like, when I think back to that situation I mentioned, like I did that cycle that you said, like, I think I actually may have tried to like convince my partner to like stay and create reasons for her to stay here. And like, that was before I even talked about what her intentions were. Like, there was a possibility that like she could do this online, and I had never even considered that. But I was trying to get her. I was to the point like where like I was trying to get her to stay. I had never even fucking asked those questions, and like that showed my real cards at the time. So
Yeah.
she was right to pull away from me, right? Because I was not creating safety.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and if you react like that, she's gonna go, okay, maybe it's a good idea to get some space from this guy. Shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
You know, and I say that because like if you were actually high value and you actually believed in the value that you created in a relationship, and you know your value is real, it's not something you made up, it's not something you say, it's actually there. Like you actually are, you actually embody that. It's like, I'm not afraid for my partner for leaving, for like having space. If she wants to take a trip for a month, go for it, you know? Because at the end of the day, I know, like, I'm not afraid. But people who are afraid of giving their partner space, they're afraid because they know that if they do give them space, their partner's going to find someone better or something better. And there's a chance that like she might go, you know, she's like living in North Korea all like for 10 years. And she goes to South Korea and she's like, oh shit, I got a taste for life. I like it here. And I will never go back to North Korea. Fuck Kim Jong-un, whatever, right? But if you were not like North Korea and you were actually like providing actual value, it's like, yeah, go to South Korea, go to China, go to US. This is the best country to be in. Don't be scared, you know? And if you're scared, that should tell you a lot about like, am I actually that high value?